If I'm wetter from sweating or crying, so you'll have to bear with me for a moment. If this software thing doesn't work out though, tissues brought to you by Simpler. We can just play this video, put it on the internet, and link to these. Good morning everyone, my name is BJ Schaknowski. I am Simpler's very proud CEO, and this is now my third time. And it is a great privilege for me to be able to stand in front of you and address this community in an attempt to, on behalf of Simpler, honor nurses and honor you. I'm the CEO of a pretty big company and I make a lot of speeches, and this is the hardest one every year. Not only because I stand in front of you who I so look up to, but honestly it's one opportunity that we have to honor the work you do. Honor the Roddies and the Sarahs and the Christines. And today we're going to be a little bit selfish, and we're going to take that time to honor one of you who is also one of us, and that's Dr. Karlene Kerfoot. And so if you'll pardon me, I don't usually do this, but I'm going to read a few notes because there's a lot here that I want to get right. Many of you in this room knew Karlene. She's a legend in the community. Excuse me. She was a registered nurse for more than 40 years. She dedicated her life to this profession. She obtained her PhD from the University of Illinois in Chicago. She has a master's and a BSN from the University of Iowa. Julia, I expected you to cheer there, thank you. She also attended multiple executive leadership programs at the Wharton School for Nurse Executives. She was a 2023 Stevie Award winner, Woman of the Year in Healthcare. She was the creator of the Beyond Gratitude campaign with Daisy and AONL to provide meaningful recognition to nurse managers and to support their emotional well-being. She was a fellow of the American College of Health Data Management. She was a fellow to the American Academy of Nursing, a contributing writer to more than 400 articles in data-driven staffing, workforce management, leadership, and patient safety. She was an author of a popular leadership column for nursing economics. She was, as I understand it, the very first chief nurse executive to bring Daisy to a system, then 23 facilities. And in 2023, she was awarded, and we were very proud to be there for that, a Daisy Lifetime Achievement Award. For the last 12 years, she was Simpler's chief nursing officer. Her job was to make sure we, who served you, understood the impact of the technology that we provided on your day-to-day life, to make sure that we were always mindful of our impact on what you do, to make sure that we were always putting the care you provide, at the forefront of what we build. More important than all that, and through all that, she was a loving wife to Bill, mother, and grandmother. Now, this is the abbreviated version. I could go on and on for quite some time, and I have 7 minutes. Ish. CEOs aren't great with clocks, but I find the best way to really know someone is through storytelling. And so if you'll indulge me, I'm going to just briefly tell you a little bit about my friend Karlene in a quick story. Karlene, you may or may not have known this, at the end of her career, was actually an octogenarian. Now I know you're more anatomy than math, but that means she was in her 80s. Now, this happens from time to time in nursing. This is not common in software. It's not exactly the hip, cool 20-year-old kids in their vests and their Converse running around, right? And you know, a few 80-year-olds. And Karlene was proudly an octogenarian working inside of a pretty big software company. Now, my mother got a lot of things wrong with me. She got a few things right, and one of which is she raised a gentleman. And so I thought about this, and particularly as we knew that Karlene was having a hard time as her cancer had reemerged, I thought, you know, the right thing to do here is to offer our friend a little bit of a break. And so, Kristen, our chief marketing officer, to whom she reported, and I had a conversation. And we thought it was going to be a good idea to tell Karlene, listen, we're going to take care of you, your benefits, your pay, all that. We got you. Just take a little time off. So we had a clinical leadership team meeting, which she ran internally, and we were on a Zoom, and I asked her to stay after at the end. And, I looked into the camera, and I said to my dear friend Karlene, what I basically said was, you're old, but I didn't say it that way. I'm sure I'm violating all kinds of labor laws, and there's some HIPAA, I don't know. But I basically said, hey, listen, you're burning it in both ends. You're traveling more than I am. You're on planes. You're at conferences. You're at trade shows. You're in your 80s. You got friggin' cancer. Hey, we got you. Why don't you scale back a little bit, go down to 15, 20 hours a week, and we'll take you from there. And she sat back in her chair, and she cocked her head, and I said, oh crap. Except I didn't say crap. But we have to look back up. 2 weeks before that, I was in DC, and I was on a boat with 8 system chief information officers. It's exactly what it sounds like. It was a boondoggle, and they were drinking wine, and we were talking about healthcare. And I'm kind of a new guy. I'm 4 years of healthcare. I'm like, yeah, who's the most influential person? Who's the most powerful person? Who are you most scared of inside the system? And I'm thinking the CMO or the CEO or the CFO, right? And to a person, man and woman, went around the table, and they all said the CNO. I said, why? And a woman looked at me and said, because they'll cut you. And I said, metaphorically, and she went, sure. And they all laughed. So here I am, former Marine, 80-year-old woman with cancer in front of me. I am scared to death. And she sits back, cocks her head, thinks for a second, composes herself professional as she always was, leans in and says, 10 words to me, 2 sentences that I will never forget. BJ, that will not be necessary. Let's get back to it. And I think about that all the time. And I thought about that in the context of today and how we honor all of you. There is a tough love that is part of nursing. There is a gift and a skill that you have. I don't know if it's born, I don't know if it's learned, but your ability to deliver a tough message when someone needs to hear it most, or perhaps doesn't want to hear it. To tell someone, I need you to do this when you don't want to, because it will save your life. To tell someone, I need you to do this when you don't want to, listen to me, because it will help you heal. To tell someone, at the end of their life, when they struggle for weeks in pain, do what I say because you have earned a few hours of peace before you pass. And I think there is a beautiful circle of life as I reflect on Karlene's passing, that the folks who took care of her in those last few weeks and hours were members of the community that she dedicated her life to support. And that's a pretty wonderful thing that you all will experience, and the gift that you have, that the rest of us, the civilians in this room, are so incredibly thankful for. And as I have these happy, sad thoughts, I think there's this voice above me that says, this is not necessary. And so I'll close by saying this. The work you do is so important. It does not receive the recognition nationally that it deserves. Thank God for the Daisy Foundation. Thank God for nurses like Dr. Karlene Kerfoot. And Simpler will do the best we can every day in honoring Karlene through our steadfast, unfettered, and unwavering commitment to the Daisy Foundation. And that will never be. I try to be positive, and I think in this moment the way to best do that is by saying the world is not in a worse place because Karlene is no longer here. Nursing is in a better place because we had Karlene. And as she would say, I know you have learning to do. I know there is care to be given. Let's get back to work. Thank you all so much.